The number one mistake I see Amazon brands make is mixing match types within a single campaign. It leads to a lot of wasted spend. It's the number one issue that I see when auditing accounts and providing help. So, I'm going to show you the best practice in terms of how to set up your campaigns properly and how to ensure success for your Amazon ad campaigns. Again, quick intro for those of you who don't know. Tom worked at Amazon for 6 years, worked with some of the largest consumer brands. I've probably worked with hundreds of advertisers over the course of my career, so I've seen a lot. And so this is sort of the best practice that a lot of the brands use today. We're going to walk you through exactly what this means. So before we get into the best practice and the structure, it's important for us to really understand what keyword match types are, what they do, and their intended purpose. So right now there's three different types of match types. There's exact match, phrase match, broad match. In this table, in this example, we're going to show you what each of them do for a specific keyword. So for example, if you are a brand that's selling red shoes, and this is the keyword that you're targeting in your campaigns, this keyword, this search term, you will show up. If you have this keyword enabled in phrase and broad match, it'll show up for all of them, exact, phrase, and broad. If you have this same keyword and it's enabled, you will also be showing up for the keyword red shoes for girls if you have it enabled for phrase and broad match. So I'm going to pause right there and reiterate. If the keyword that you're targeting is red shoes and you have it enabled for phrase and broad, you will show up for red shoes for girls. Now, this could be okay. This could not be okay. But again, you can kind of see the difference what phrase match and broad match do to the keyword term red shoes. Another layer deeper is if you have red shoes enabled under broad match, you will show up for shoes for red dress. Because of the relevancy, it's a little bit more wild in terms of predicting which keywords you would show up for. And so it's a lot more broad, no pun intended. Lastly, if you're targeting the keyword red shoes, you will not show up for high top shoes for any of these, broad, phrase, and exact. And so this is just a simple example to sort of illustrate how the match types work and the intended purpose. So just to recap, for exact match, your ad shows only when the shopper's search term exactly matches your keyword. So it's a very close match and it's high precision. It's essentially exact match. Red shoes will also show up for red shoe as an example, the plural format. Phrase match, it'll contain your keyword phrase in the same order with words possibly before or after red shoes for girls. Exactly. So the keyword phrase match, phrase type will sort of match, right? It'll be in the exact order, red shoes for girls. And then broad match, it's going to contain your keywords in any order and also match synonyms or related variations. It has the widest reach, lowest precision. And so each of these have a different purpose when you're setting up your campaigns. We are going to get into really the structure of how you should organize your campaigns. And I'm going to show you some real life examples as well. First, just to give you a quick visual of how this looks in the console, this is just an example of what you would do if you were adding your campaigns. You add your product here, you go to manual targeting and say you want to go keyword targeting. You enter your list, and again, you have the ability to select red shoes for exact, phrase, or broad. You could add this. If you go here, you're going to see red shoes. Now it's added as an exact. If you go here and click phrase and broad, it's now added into the same campaign as broad and phrase. Again, it's really important to see that you will start showing up for a lot of these variations of keywords if you have broad and phrase match enabled. And so what do you do with this information now that you know what the match types are? It's now really important to figure out, okay, how do you set up your campaign structure? And so one of the biggest challenges and the reason why spend is wasted so much is oftentimes brands and advertisers, they set up multiple keyword match types within a single campaign, or they separate their ad groups at the keyword match type level. Those are two different things that oftentimes lead to a lot of wasted spend. And so, how we counter that is we operate off of a principle of we want the most control through our structure of our campaigns. Now, this is a really key point, and it's sort of a foundational principle for Amazon advertising. And so, when multiple match types are combined in a single campaign, we lose clarity on what is working and how to act. Keyword performance becomes blended, bid adjustments become imprecise, and the feedback loop breaks down. And so, again, I'm going to show you exactly what this means, but ultimately, if you include multiple match types in a single campaign like we're doing right here, you will lose control and you will not have an accurate read on performance. Let's dig into an example of what this looks like in a visual format. And so, again, here's one example of what you might be thinking in terms of how you would organize your campaign structure. You may say, here's one campaign. We're going to have one ad group, two ad groups, three ad groups. Oftentimes, you will have phrase match, exact match, or broad match. This is a common mistake that I see that happens. And then you have red shoe within the exact match ad group. So I'll get into the problem a little bit later, but here's sort of a foreshadowing of what happens. The second example that I see oftentimes with brands is you have three ad groups again. But within one ad group, you have multiple match types within a campaign. Red shoes for girls, red shoes for girls, different sort of keyword match types. And then we're going to get into why this is problematic. So this is a real life example from a brand. So you'll notice under the match type column, they have multiple match types, broad, exact, phrase. We shaded out the exact keywords just for privacy purposes, but that doesn't really matter. So what you'll see here is this keyword under broad match has basically all of the spend. It also has the highest bid. So what happens is, say you have red shoes here in broad match at the highest bid. This is going to essentially eat up all of the impressions and the clicks and all of the keywords basically in the ecosystem for red shoes, right? And you basically then have all of these other keywords not doing anything for you because remember, broad match has the widest reach. And so if you have the highest bid here, ultimately this is going to receive all the impressions and clicks for every single keyword in the universe of red shoes. Now, as you can imagine downstream, how do you optimize your campaigns if one keyword essentially under broad match is effectively getting all of your spend? That keyword could be bidding on red shoes for girls, high top red shoes. You're not really in control at the keyword level. And so it's really important for you to separate out the match types within an ad group and then within a campaign. It's really about control. And so right now, as you can see with this example, if you have broad phrase and exact, you don't have a lot of control over the precision and the performance of your keywords. Here's another example of another brand that does multiple ad groups, but they separate the ad groups at the match type level. So you see broad, exact, phrase. I'm going to give you a specific example. If you can see here, this exact match ad group is performing the best as a 3.98 ROAS. Essentially, for every dollar you spend, you get $4 back in sales. Well, this is performing the best, but the broad match ad group here is receiving the most spend. So why does that happen? Well, it's because we can't control budgets at the ad group level. We can only control budgets at the campaign level. And so when you create multiple ad groups that contain different keyword match types, you don't have control over the allocation of spend. And so it becomes really challenging to optimize your Amazon advertising campaigns. And ultimately, it goes back to our founding principle, which is you want to have control through the structure of your campaigns. When you have multiple ad groups separated by keyword match type, you don't have control. When you have multiple keyword match types in a campaign or an ad group, you don't have control. Another example here, you see the broad match campaign has the second most in spend, but it's the worst performing from a return on ad spend perspective. And so again, budgets are set at the campaign level versus the ad group level. It is not set at the ad group level. It is set at the campaign level. Really important fact. And so when you create multiple ad groups, Amazon is in control of how they allocate the spend. Sometimes they can allocate it to keywords that they believe are more relevant. And so it oftentimes leads to inconsistent spend and a misallocation of spend. It's a huge, huge problem that we see oftentimes with a lot of brands. Lastly is when you get more advanced, you start to optimize campaigns at the placement level. And so when you look at these metrics, again, real life metrics, you can optimize the placements of your campaigns for top of search, rest of search, product pages, and you can have modifiers to your bids where you could say, hey, I want to bid more aggressively for placements that are top of search. So when you search for something, it's right at the top. Really important placement. Now, these placements are done at the campaign level. So if you can imagine, if you have a lot of keywords in a single campaign and you have different match types, and all of those keywords are having a modifier applied, 100% modifier, it becomes really difficult to control your campaigns. In addition, think about multiple ad groups within a campaign. All of the keywords within all of those ad groups will have this campaign modifier placement at the placement level applied to every single keyword. So again, you lose absolute control over any of the performance metrics that you have in your campaigns. And so in short, it's really important when you start thinking about the founding principle of you want to be able to have control over your advertising performance. And so the three problems, the spend is skewed, and there's optimization bias, right? You can't control where the spend is going because campaign budgets are set at the campaign level, not the ad group level. There's imprecise bidding. And when you have broad match, exact match, phrase match, all of those could effectively be bidding on the same keyword. So you have really a challenging time figuring out what is the optimal bid I need to have for a specific keyword. And then this ultimately leads to a blended reporting and no signal. And so number one problem I see in wasted spend is a very poor campaign structure with multiple match types within a campaign or multiple ad groups within a campaign. So in short, it's really important when you're starting out that you optimize your campaigns by having one match type per campaign, one ad group per campaign, and then from there, you can sort of optimize much more effectively. In this document, if you are interested to learn more about our process and what other very successful brands do, reach out. We can share this document. It's a step-by-step process, SOP. We get into auto targeting, category targeting, but ultimately this video is about why we use one match type per campaign and why the number one reason why we see a lot of wasted spend is because of poor campaign structure. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be back for more. Thanks.